Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 205. And today we're going to go back in time, take a little stroll down memory lane, as well as give you some sort of new updates on what we call Werks Reunion. Before we get into it, let's thank our presenting sponsor, Pirelli. Pirelli tires have to achieve the highest levels of performance, safety, noiselessness, and grip on the road surface. Innovative tires that can satisfy even the most specific mobility needs of the end consumer. Thank you all for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, what are you waiting for? Head over to PCA.org. All you need is your VIN and make yourself a member. For those of you that don't currently own a Porsche, let us help you find one for your driveway and or garage. That's the test drive program, and you can find details on that, again, at PCA.org. Manny, can you believe it's been over 12 years since the name? I remember when we were thinking about what would we name this event, and I was sitting together with Jeff Caldwell, the current president of the BMW Club of America, which I'm a member of. And this story starts together with them. And here's an opportunity, and I think Jeff knows the story as well. But some BMW CCA folks have a little bit of a different version, and it's. I'm not here to necessarily clear the air, so to speak, but we're just going to share, how we got there. And it all starts with an event called Legends of the Autobahn. And we were happy that we were asked to participate with them. And what was the Rancho Cañada, right? Was that
correct? Yeah. Legends of Autobahn was, it was run by the BMW club, but there was, when we were invited, it was a third club. So it was Mercedes, Benz Club of America.
Audi was there too?
I don't think Audi came
until
later.
Yeah. But it was the three powerhouses, right?
Yeah, majors. And it makes, that's why they call it Legends of the Autobahn, because all German marks. And it was an event that was a club event. It basically was almost like had the feeling of three different events in one, as each club did their own thing. They even separated the amount of microphone time you'd have to 20 minutes each club would have to get in front of the microphone. We like being part of it. It gave our members a chance to show their cars off during Monterey Car Week, which is usually a week where you have to be invited to show your car. You just can't register. So it made
and I think
even better.
Yeah, I think that event was initially a regional event or some sort of. It wasn't called Legends back then, but I think once it became CCA National and became Legends, and again, we were very happy to be a part of it. There's no mistaking, when we became a part of it, we brought 220 cars to the event. So we were a big part of it. We were going along happy-go-lucky, and as with any relationship, when things are going well, we were trying to be proactive and understand, where we stood in the relationship. So without going into too many details, in the end, CCA decided to move that event from Rancho Cañada. We didn't necessarily know about the fact that they were doing that, and we weren't part of that decision. And so we decided to stay at Rancho Cañada and form what now is called Werks Reunion.
No, there's a couple of things that happened in between.
So a couple of things, but we don't need to go there. But when it happened, of course, we weren't exactly happy, because we thought the whole concept of Legends of the Autobahn was great. But hindsight's 2020. It's kind of the best thing that we could have ever done is to become independent.
Absolutely, the best thing was, and we really weren't thinking about going on our own. Until the final year that we were Legends. And things happened and gave us the opportunity to rethink the relationship. And we decided that it would be better if we went on our own and controlled our own destiny, if you will. So, that was a blessing in disguise that this all went down the way it did because we were able to branch out on our own and take a chance.
And to say that we were confident from the very beginning, we weren't. We weren't because we didn't know, right? Like I remember you, I believe you were sharing with others at the time that you would be happy if we could get 300 cars for the first one.
I was confident on the outside, and I was telling people we were going to have 500 cars.
Yeah.
I wasn't
yeah.
too happy about how things turned out. And so I said, we will get 500 cars on this field. And then I remember looking at you and saying, if we get 200, we're going to spread them around so they look like 500
That's
cars.
what it was. That's what it was. And we had to gear up very quickly, starting with the name. What would we call this thing? And I remember Werks, we've been to Werks 1, Werks 2, Werks 3, and the whole, how that came about. And calling it Werks with an S isn't a German thing. And yet it flows very well, us, in the States calling it Werks Reunion. So we had to explain ourselves of why we chose that name.
Yeah, and I told people that we were also taking advantage of the success of Rennsport Reunion. Plus, you had the Motorsport Reunion at the track, so it just made sense to keep the word reunion somewhere in that theme. And to me, Werks 1 was where it all started. That was pretty cool. We were told that works in plural is not a German word.
Right.
But I said, well, you can't call it a work reunion because people are going to think it's like
it doesn't roll off the tongue.
Their office or something or union. And I said, well, in this case, works sounds better in English. And so we kind of butchered up the word. And
so we had a location because we stayed put. Now we had a name. We had a target goal of how many cars there. And also we had a great team of volunteers ready to make this happen. And much like everything in PCA, none of this works unless we have the volunteers to chip in and help. And so we had from a event chair to judging lead, we had it all. But we also had to come up with to set the tone of Werks Reunion, because PCA up to that point may have been more perceived with the traditional concourse, especially when you're on a golf course. When you say a PCA event on concourse, you think concourse, you think Q-tips, you think full-on crazy detailing. But Werks Reunion was going to be sort of the first of national events that was not that type.
Yeah. In fact, I remember initially I didn't even want to have any judging at all. I can't remember if this was before Luft or whatnot, but I was envisioning an event that would just be a reason to come hang out and spend the day, if you will, like a big cards and coffee. Mm-hmm. But I think some of the organizers were, and when I say what my thought was, I was president at the time, so that's why I was having some input on this. I was kind of overruled, and they wanted to take the safe road and include judging, because they said people wanted to be able to win trophies. So I remember I gave into that and said, we'll do
judged.
We'll do.
Not
we decided to call it judged because we didn't want to scare people away that this was going to be to the level of parade.
Yeah, so I do want to say I just did a little bit of research, but Lufka Colt, the first one, 2014.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, okay. So same year.
The little one. I remember being in an elevator with Patrick Long and saying, hey, I heard your event was pretty cool. Oh. And we just did a quick elevator talk as we went to our floor. That's pretty interesting, Damon. Yeah. Didn't realize the same year as we started Werks.
Yeah, I forget if it was if it came before or after Werks, which would have been August, I guess, 2014.
Yeah, so, it would definitely been August. So when was Luft that year? Can you look that up? Anyways, so one of the things, that transition from full-on traditional concours to judged, I do remember the first year we did it, folks had to adjust. They were like, where are my score sheets? How can I, did I win with this, that, and the other? It was a different style, different vibe than what we're used to. But now it's understood. And for those that are seriously competing, you can still come and you'll do well, but does that mean a perfectly prepped car will always win first place? Absolutely not. The big thing is the story I think that's a big difference between Werks Reunion versus the traditional Concours. The story behind the car, the how it got there, the journey and such plays a big influence on how it will place.
And I tell people I got that for the 1 year that I judged the Porsches at Amelia Island Concours, and I realized it was much different than Parade Concours, where either we're judging for cleanliness, originality. Here they were listening to the story of the car and how important the car was, and it was a completely different atmosphere, and I liked it. I didn't. It wasn't so stressful, like you said, who Q-tipped their car the best. It was much more about the ownership of the car and whatnot. So yeah, that threw a lot of people off the first time around because they were expecting parade style Concours.
Yeah. And to add to the ambiance of all that also is when you come to Werks Reunion, there's just, I don't know if it's light jazz. I think when we first started, we did light jazz or Sade or something like that. But now we have some live music. But it was just a relaxing time, hang out with your friends, have, food trucks, coffee. It was a new thing. And now it's a norm, and it's very cool.
You know what I think it was, or at least maybe it was one of the works, but remember when they played Beach Boys for like 8 hours straight?
I think that was one of the early ones.
Yeah, it might have been the first one.
When we had a DJ, we didn't even know to bring like live, or maybe we just didn't have the budget. But everything was sort of new to us, and I believe it was at the first Werks Reunion Amelia, Tyler Hootie came with his Moon 996, the Million Mile 996 or whatever it is, and he was doing his funny dance to the jazz music that we had there. But
what we were aiming for was once again, the negative of parade that I saw, the Concours, was people up for 3 days, the real serious ones, cleaning their car. And just being exhausted by the time Concours Day came, and pretty much wanting to be judged and then going back to the room for a nap. I wanted people to enjoy all day at our new event and not be stressed about having their car cleaned for 3 days prior to be competitive. So one of the things, I guess, the founding highlights of Werks was it had to be free for spectators to get in. We didn't want to charge. I mean, some events back then
not
were
only
like $150,
free, but regardless if you're a PCA member or not. Like I remember the executive council at the time going, you know what, this is a marketing initiative for PCA. If you are a Porsche enthusiast, you are welcome to come.
Yeah, I remember sending out invitations to the splinter groups. Our group, 914 guys, 356 registry, and saying, hey, you're welcome to come to this, even if you're not a PCA member.
I think we even gave them like special park, like if you come together, we'll park you together.
Yeah, we were celebrating the Porsche mark, and we wanted to create the atmosphere of come in and stay all day and hang out, and it wasn't come for an hour and leave.
Yeah, and that first year, as Manny was hoping that we would get 500, we clearly got 500.
505.
Yeah, 505. And events after that, we knew we sort of hit the right recipe when folks would park over at the Quail because we ran out of parking, and they were walking on the main highway in front of
they were coming over from the Quail.
Yeah.
So these are people that paid back then, I think it was $750 to get into the Quail, which was like blown away how much it cost to get into the Quail. But we saw them coming over either walking or getting rides in golf carts to come over to our free event. And we thought maybe we have something here if the people who paid all the money to be at this show are coming over to our show next door. Plus, I remember the Quail paid for a military flyover,
which we got the benefit of.
We got the benefit of.
So it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, because then we were faced with the Rancho Cañada getting ready to be closed down to be a park. Now where do we go? And
which is a tough thing in Monterey.
Yeah,
it's not like there's all these venues that are waiting for someone to come find them.
Everyone has sort of claimed their and put a stake in all their property in Monterey for their various events. So finding a location to be able to host hundreds of Porsches and thousands of people is not easy. And again, thanks to our volunteers and the staff, we found ourselves at Corral del Tierra, which is over by Laguna.
I think the didn't the track reach out to us and they wanted us to move it to the track?
Yes, they did do that, but we did. We were just like, it wouldn't work. It's just it's too loud at the track. The
And the focus wouldn't be on the event. It would be on the track.
Correct. And once moving over to Corral de Tierra, we realized it was even more underscored that we had a very successful event, because now we were starting to affect traffic in Monterey, more specifically affecting traffic to the track.
And that's not without planning. We did contact the local police and say,
was there, and
do you need anything from us? Because we don't want to cause traffic jams. They said, you're too far away from the main highway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but then they came anyway because they got enough calls.
Yeah. So I do want to say, before we move on too much, I don't think Rancho Cañada became a park, because then we could just have the event at the park, right?
No,
I'm pretty sure it was condominiums.
No, it was at least a big part of it was reclamation, I believe.
It was.
Yeah,
It
no,
was.
Damon,
It's not a park. It was like, it's a nature preserve.
Yeah.
I was blown away that prime real estate, they were basically giving back to nature.
Yes.
And it was a little hard to process that this wasn't going to be.
But fast forward to today, it's still kind of there.
Yeah.
It hasn't really changed.
I don't know if they still have part of the golf course there, how much they gave, but anyway, we lost it, and
but again,
we found another place.
Things happen for a reason. We were not terribly excited to have to go to a new location. Corral de Tierra, I will say, the elevation that they have there made for spectacular photos of the event, but the egress for that location really was one way in, one way out, quite difficult to
up a hill. I remember seeing a Carrera GT trying to stay on the golf path because there are tiny little curbs on the side of the golf. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a beautiful
one
location.
Way in, one way out.
Yeah. Beautiful location, but logistically it was a nightmare. And so then we tried Black Horse Bayonet, which is
where the
Ferrari show is.
Concorso
Italiano on the Saturday. So of course our show is on the Friday. We were on the backside of that course. Again, logistically, that place was not that great. And also, it confirmed to us being the B partner at a location was not favorable to PCA. And so we were back on the hunt again.
It was like when Jimi Hendrix opened up for the Monkees.
Back on the hunt again. We found ourselves at Monterey Pines Golf Course. And I have to say, that group there, lots of restrictions because it's owned by the
Navy, I think, right?
By the military, being by the airport and such. There are guidelines and requirements, but other than that, the facility logistically initially was also a bit difficult, but not nearly as difficult as Corral de Tierra. But last year, they made it even better by providing a second exit.
Oh, yeah. Kudos to them because they saw a problem and they addressed it right away.
Yeah. And the location is very centralized, and the food trucks and the staff there are fantastic. So thankfully and hopefully we get to stay there for a while. But as we were seeing how well this was received in the West Coast, and before we even landed at Monterey Pines Golf Course, we were still, I think, with Black Horse. So we were probably at Black Horse when the decision to go to the East Coast happened. So you remember?
I think we were at Corral.
Corral, yeah. Yep.
It was 2007. I remember telling you the only way to tell this event was successful is by year 3, if we were still selling out. If we saw the demand, then that meant we were on to something. And sure enough, by year 3, we knew that we were on to something special. So Tom Gorsuch, who was he would have been vice president at the time, was telling us we should come and check out Amelia Island. And so we did. We went out to check out the Amelia Island Concours, and right away we realized it would be a perfect fit. And hey, there was a Friday that was pretty much opened. So take the same recipe as Monterey and put it on the East Coast.
But we also had a little bit of luck and by our side in the sense where we didn't have to fully commit by ourselves the first time we started with Amelia, because if you remember, we had a relationship with Hollywood Wheels Auction that already had a fairway or fairways reserved at the Omni, and they were looking to hook up with PCA to, of course, support their auction, but hey, give us a fairway.
And they had an event on Saturday that was a big car show.
Exactly. And so they said, hey, we can give you for a nominal fee to have your Werks Reunion on that Friday, which it worked out for us in terms of being able to test out our concept, and we did it with them for 2 years. But we did find out, again, being the B player in a relationship with the Omni and with Hollywood Wheels, we decided that we would go our own separate ways. We did what we were hoping to achieve with them the first and second year. They also kind of changed the direction of their business model, and we found ourselves at Amelia River Golf Course, which is where we are now.
And the really lucky thing we had was since the good thing about Monterey was that we had all the volunteers who were helping put on Legends the Autobahn on the PCA side just transferred over to Werks when we went our own way. After we told them about our plans and got everyone's buy-in. At Amelia, we didn't have that same advantage. We had to start almost from scratch. So I remember calling up the president of Florida Crown and said, hey, I know you're having a board meeting tonight. Would you mind adding something to your agenda? And I started telling him, and as soon as I said, we're thinking of bringing Werks to Amelia Island, he said, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I need you to get your board on board. He goes, don't do it. I said, we'll do
so
it.
PCA.
And I was like, well, you know what? I said, I don't need to know right now. I said, just talk to them, and I'll call you in a few days, and we can discuss, what their concerns are. And, of course, he was right. They were immediately on board with the idea. They were just thrilled that we were coming. And then we had our first meeting.
Yeah.
And the first meeting was, what a surprise. Come to find out, we get like the cream of the crop of people who had retired from working the Amelia Island Concours, but still wanted to do something. And when they saw that we were coming around, they immediately raised their hands, and wow, we got Marcia,
the mayor,
unofficial mayor of Amelia Island, who she saved us probably 5 years at least of making connections, because she knew everyone on the island that we needed to hook up with: fire department, police department, parking,
bug spray,
everything,
trash
anything.
cans.
We just had to ask her, and she would pick up her cell phone, make a call. I still remember we were having lunch at the Ritz or a planning meeting. We brought up our concerns with police and fire, and she made a phone call, and it felt like 15 minutes later the fire chief and the police chief are at our table saying, what can we do? So it was it just made the planning of this event so much easier. I guess I got to mention also that Tom Pervasi, who was the chair, or is still the chair for Werks Monterey, had agreed to also do Amelia Island, and that was key in keeping everything, all the continuity, and almost like a McDonald's, keeping the same thing that we did successfully in Monterey and moving it to Amelia Island.
Yeah. And the other thing that and I know you had this conversation with the Amelia Concours, we wanted to make sure that they understood that we were in no way a threat to their event. In fact, we were hoping that we were going to bring a new crop of attendees to their event. What was that like?
So everyone told me about Mr. Bill Warner, who ran the Amelia Concours, and that he didn't like people coming in and doing other events. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I got to approach this with very carefully. So I called him up, and I said, hey, Bill, I said, who I am, and I said, I wanted to let you know we're planning to do an event on the Friday of your event, but we're not going to compete with you. We're not going to charge entry for spectators. I said to sum it up, I said, we are the tailgate party before the big game. You're the big game. We're there to watch the big game, but we want to have a party beforehand in the parking lot, and that'll be Werks Reunion. And he absolutely loved that metaphor, and he said, you know what, man? He said, I will give you anything you need. I'm going to tell my people to give you guys anything you need to make your event successful. And true to form, he did just that.
Absolutely.
He helped promote the event. He would call me when he heard any news in between the years, and he was one of the big reasons why Werks Reunion was successful. Stuff that people never saw behind the scenes, but getting the blessing from the Godfather went a long way.
Yeah, so having his blessing, have the volunteers in place, we have a place to have the event. And I'll also remember this. We were also concerned or wanting to make sure that we have worthy vehicles or maybe special displays. And you made a reach out to the Ingram family to have cars for us.
Well, that was the first one in Monterey. The late Bob Ingram, I approached him and I told him our plans. And he was a big supporter to the end of PCA. And he said, anything you want, I'll bring. He goes, I just need one spot for a car I'm bringing to Pebble Beach, but the rest of the tractor trailer can be all cars for your event. And I said, that would be awesome. I said, because I need some, key important cars to show off. Yep. Exactly, Halo cars to show off at our event, to legitimize the event. And he just did just that. In fact, he even was gracious enough where he said, I don't want to be judged. I don't want trophies. I just want your members to enjoy my cars. And so he gave them a special parking spot and true for him, he brought all the cars on his tractor trailer and showed them off, all his costs, because back then the budget wasn't very high, and definitely made the event that much more special.
So Manny, talk about the timing of Werks Reunion, because that was important too. One of the things is with national events, even to this day, our executive council is very concerned about timing of what we do, because we're not huge. We have a staff. In terms of a car club, we may seem to be big in numbers of members, and we do have a headquarters staff. We have a head count of around 20, but to run the events that we have, again, without our volunteers, it wouldn't happen, but it also requires a lot of national office coordination. So the timing of Werks Reunion was important too.
So we for Monterey, we just picked up where Legends had left off and decided to use that Friday as well, because that's what members were used to, coming out to see the Porsches. And it was also not conflicting with the Saturday at the track. Monterey is super packed with the events, so it's not like there's a lot of empty days to pick things. Thursday would be too early for a lot of people. Saturday, and you're in the midst, like I said, of people going to the track and whatnot. So Friday was definitely a keeper. And once again, people are used to going because of Legends, but now that they wanted to show their Porsche, they were just going to a different location. For Amelia, we looked at it again. Same thing, that Friday was pretty open at the time. There were some auctions going on, but we wouldn't be interfering with what at the time was, like you said, our Hollywood Wheels event, plus the Amelia Island Concours had things going on Saturday too. So,
I should say, when for our first Werks Reunion, we didn't have 20 people on staff. It was more like 10, I want to say, and not all 10 went there. I don't even think Charlotte and member services with the store, they weren't there the first one. No. So it was really, really small. Crew. In fact, I was hired December 11th, 2013. So this was like
skeleton
my
crew.
Introduction into
we were. It was very cognizant about the budget, and we didn't know how much we would collect from. In fact, the parking, I remember, we were splitting it with the church next door. There was a church next door that had space, because we really didn't have much parking at the facility. So we had to rely on that church to park there. And of course, that was where people decided to park on the side of the road, like Boo was saying, of people not only from the Quail, but I remember people coming up to me saying, it's a car show just walking down to your event, because there's Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all these exotic cars parked on the side of the road on the shoulder as they're coming down here. So, that's the stuff that believe it or not, we were really nervous whether people would come out or not to our event.
Yeah, and now we're worried about too many people coming out to our event.
Yeah, like we've done pretty good lately with traffic and managing, but every year it seems to get bigger and bigger, and which of course makes us happy, because that means we're doing something right.
Yeah, and I love the diversity of the cars. Not only the diversity within the Porsches, because you have those that will be ready to be judged, But as you said, the corral itself, some of those cars in the corral definitely deserve to be adjudged, but for whatever reason, the owner just put it in the corral. But you'll have 600, 700 cars in the crowd that are worth your time to walk around. And then you go to the spectator parking lot, which is where you'll find some incredible non-Porsches parked there. So three shows in one.
How long did it take? Because initially Porsche had told us we can't support the event because we're too busy at the Quail. We got basically our own problems to handle. Unfortunately, we can't support this event.
Year 2. It wasn't until year 2 that they
year 2 they came over.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were like, hey, no problem.
Yeah.
If you can bring anything over, awesome. If not, we still love you to come by just to see what the event's like. No sweat. And they did come by, and I think they quickly realized that we were on to something, and that maybe they should have at least a little bit of a presence at the event. And certainly by Amelia Island, they realized this has had to be, even though they were also at Amelia Island at the Ritz, they had to come out and do something with us as well.
Yeah, and fast forward to today's Werks Reunion, it is really cool to see how much of a imprint we leave for Amelia as well as Monterey, and some people even come just for our event and they don't go to the others, that's pretty cool.
The first time I heard that was we were at the Guardians dinner, I think the Wednesday or Thursday before the event, and somebody walked up. We were looking at one of the cars on display, and somebody came up and said, are any of you all going to Werks Reunion? So I think most of the people raised their hand and said yes. And I said, are you going? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, that's why I come.
Yeah.
And I said, but you're staying for the
Concord.
Concord. He goes, nope. He goes, I'm going home after Werks.
Yeah.
Which made me think, people are actually coming just for our event. Of course, we encourage people to stay the whole weekend, not just come to the event, because it's so much to see and do at Amelia.
Yeah. And then it comes to we had the recipe for the success in Monterey. We applied it to Amelia. But just like anything, Manny, we also try to change things up a bit year after year to keep the recipe fresh. And I think one of those things that we are able to change up are the themes of each of the events. So talk a little bit about that.
I think you mean like the cars?
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom Probasti and Ron Gordon, who's our current vice president, and he also has been involved with Werks since the beginning. They usually come up with a featured car, a lot of times based on what Porsche is
aligned with Porsche.
With Porsche is featuring as well. Like this last year we did the Targas. This year we're doing the transaxle cars. Yeah, they're following what Porsche is doing. So that's how the cars get featured. And usually featured cars are parked up front in some way. So when you first see them, and people who have those cars give you an excuse to come out and show them off. Yeah.
And the number of support that we get from the advertisers, sponsors, and exhibitors has grown tremendously from the very first one. Now you go to a Werks Reunion, you'll easily have 30 to 40 vendors there, which in our early days, if we had 5, that was a lot.
Yeah, and they brought their own easy up tents, and now it's
we have commercial tents,
exactly,
line fairways with them,
and believe it or not, Damon, I don't know if he's going to do it this year or not, but it always seemed weird to me that Damon also had to add the power source guy.
We have hired, I will tell you, Damon, the quote for the AV people for Amelia includes providing power to all of the exhibitors. You are relieved from that duty.
Finally, that's a decade. 12 years, over a decade of stringing together daisy chaining.
Let's not say how we did it. Let's just
okay, I'll stop there.
Yeah. Everything within fire code.
But that's how we roll. Like, we wanted all this. We had to will it to happen. We had to wear multiple hats. We were schlepping boxes from trailers.
I mean, we really can't complain because we have these volunteers that are just doing an incredible job. So, I remember I was breaking down boxes for the trash, and somebody stopped and said, "Don't you have people to do that?" And I looked at them. I said, "I am those people.
We are the people."
I said, "We all have to pitch in. There's no There's no glory.
And if we want dinner, we have to finish packing before
That's right.
we go there.
Absolutely.
And it was worse back in the day because it was, people, some volunteers, they had done their work, they would be up there, maybe talking or starting to have a drink or eat. And we'd be out there, still sort of, and other volunteers as well, throwing stuff into the pallet, wrapping it up, and we're just trying to get it done so that dinner doesn't pass us by.
Yeah, and the thing is, we have to leave the property as we found it. And in a lot of cases, we leave it better because every foot of property that we use, we go back and check to make sure there's no trash there, we didn't damage the grass. We've cleaned up our areas of where we use. We put all the golf carts back. There's a lot to do. Like, people come to the event, they have fun, they leave, but we're at the beginning. We're there before the sun comes up. And to be able to make that dinner, we have to work pretty quick because we also have to make sure that everything is set, because these golf courses will start golfing at 6 o'clock in the morning the very next day. And I will share with you, there have been a number of times, despite telling our members, get your car off the fairway, I've gotten the call at 10 o'clock, then 11 o'clock, and then midnight that there is, in this case, I think it was a Cayman that was still parked in the middle of the fairway. And how do you remedy that situation, right? You don't know who the car belongs to. You can't really take a wrecker on a fairway. You're going to mess that up. So and
the car is going to become a target when the
golfers
golfers get on the course.
Thankfully, we end up in that particular situation. In the golf courses, they don't want the cars to be damaged either. And in this particular case, they brought out blankets, they put boxes around it, and just protected it as much as possible. But fortunately, we did find the owner that was having. What happened was, and they didn't mean to do it, they lost their keys. They lost the keys in the middle of the event. And so they had to call home for someone to get the second set of keys. But that they still had, even if you next day aired it, it's too late. So they actually had to get someone from where they lived, drive down with the spare keys and get the car off the field. And it would have been fine because it was covered up for the first round of golf or whatever. But things like that happen. We had I think it was a Volkswagen bus in Monterey that was parked on the fairway. It was Is
that the one we pushed?
Yes, we figured out how to put it in neutral and then push it off to the side and stuff like that. It's interesting, but at the end of it all, I think it's one of the best events that we do in terms of marketing and how inclusive we are.
And Monterey, the ones that impressed me the most are the two guys. I wish I could remember their names.
Oh, that ride on the car at the end?
The trash guys.
The trash guys,
They're PCA members.
High-level individuals.
Who are smiling constantly, and they've been doing this now for quite a few years, and they're very proud.
Yes.
And they just ride around collecting trash.
Yep.
Which can be kind of ugly with people where the food's at. But they never complain, and in fact, they come back year after year.
And they don't want us to give that volunteer position to anyone else. Like they're like that. This
maybe they're finding cash or something, and then. But God bless them. I mean, to be that enthusiastic, and that's their way of enjoying Werks. Is they basically volunteer all day and just ride around and collect trash.
So after 12 years of Werks reunions, I think we should impart to our listeners, what are some good tips if you've never been there before?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, well, especially Amelia and Monterey. Sunscreen, also Amelia, bug spray, although we provide it. Get the heavy duty bug spray.
Sometimes if it's very still and if it's a 6 mile an hour breeze, you're fine.
Right.
Because the bugs can't fly.
They're called no-see-ums.
No-see-ums, yeah.
But you definitely feel them.
And believe it or not, we pay extra to have the place sprayed.
Marcia coordinates all that.
Yeah, but nonetheless, just bring some bug spray. It'll make your life easier. If you're coming, so you can come as an entrant to show a car off, or you can just come to watch. We do have parking on premises. Is it $40 still, or is it gone up $40?
Yeah, $40. Yeah.
It's per car, so you can squeeze in the Brady Bunch into your car. No problem. Same price, $40 to park. You can stay all day, and a lot of people get there early and then stay to the end.
Yep.
You can bring your own picnic lunch if you want.
Yep.
Your own drinks, or we have plenty of food trucks. If you don't remember that, we have restroom facilities. It's really designed for you to stay all day, and the way we have the agenda set up, and the whole show layout, it's something you can really spend all day because you're going to run into people you know,
Mm-hmm.
or like Boo said, with the vendors, you can walk through and just talk to them, and they're more than happy to speak with you. There's car vendors, Porsches there. Like last year we had the GTS, Michael Tam?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he had the whole thing, not the whole thing, but the battery exposed and was answering all the questions people had about the new hybrid system.
Mm-hmm. And although the judged area is sold out for Amelia Island, but for future ones, if you're going to, I would not hesitate to put my car, although I don't expect to win anything. It's cool to be in the judged area. When you put it in the judged area, you get special parking. You're kind of in the middle of it all. Don't worry about winning. Just take advantage of the parking. It's not much more money than the corral parking, but you're kind of center stage.
And bring a chair, whether you're showing a car or just come as a spectator, because once again, you run into friends. I see so many times. People have chairs in a circle behind a group of cars, and to them, this is just a big tailgate party. They can come hang out and just enjoy the day. Unlike a Cars and Coffee, which is a couple hours long, and you're walking around and you don't really see too many folding chairs, it's not unusual to see people, especially in the corral. When you walk over to the corral in the afternoon, people are having a party. You know, they're setting up camp and just enjoying, and they're grouped by model. So if you're driving a Boxster and you don't know anybody, I guarantee by the time you leave, you're going to have a lot of friends in the Boxster section that you met.
Speaking of party and fun, this is something we're considering. So I'm going to ask our listeners what they think about this. Although it's tough to add on more things for that day, but at the Amelia River Golf Course, they have this beautiful pavilion that they built across the back, and it's typically used for special events and or weddings, and I think they're booked out until late 2027. We do have the opportunity to have that building for PCA. As you know, we get there early. We're there all day. But what if we had, let's say, 200, 300 tickets available? Once we're done with Werks Reunion, we would move over to this pavilion, which is on the same property. It's beautiful. It's right over the water, and have like catered food, music going, lounge area, invite maybe some of our key sponsors with special cars, maybe even invite the winners of the day to bring their cars over to display, have a DJ going, have music going, and you could continue into the evening having great food, music, fun, still be around the cars, watch the sunset, and then go home. Would you pay extra for that? Would you do that?
Is it indoors or outdoors?
Both. It's a pavilion, so it has indoors and outdoor capability, and we can also bring cars in and out if we wanted to do a presentation on something new. It's a beautiful, like I said, it's for weddings, so it's gorgeous. I'm just thinking there's limited areas to go out and eat, and also fighting traffic. Would you be interested if, let's say, it's $100 a head to just stay, continue to drink, continue to relax, and go into maybe from 6 to 9 o'clock, and then you can go home?
I think there's something there because of the fact that it is very crowded there. And usually when we try to get dinner reservations, it's usually around 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Just because anything earlier, it's almost impossible, especially if you have a group of people. That makes it even harder. So if you have a group of people that just want to move from the golf course and keep the party going, then yeah.
So anyways, chime in the comments if you think that's something that you'd be interested in. It's just we were on the site visit, and we saw the building, and we're like, maybe we can make use of it. And obviously we wouldn't be able to host everybody that's coming to Werks Reunion, but 200, 300 people, we could make that happen. And whatever it costs us, it'll cost you.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right. Any other tips for those that are going for the first time?
If you're showing the car, be ready to get there early. Mm-hmm. In fact, I believe they still do this. You can park the car if you're showing it. If you're showing it in the judge area, you can park it the night before or the day before. I think they open that up around 4:00, and you can bring the car, and they have a spot just for you. So the team knows exactly where each judge car is going to be parked on that field, and they will park you at a time. Of course, you got to have a friend who can ride you back to your hotel or whatnot. But the next morning, you'll see a lot of cars that have been covered, and all they got to do is take the covers off, and they're ready to show. For Monterey, knock on wood, we've never had rain to worry about. At Amelia, I think only once we had
twice, at least twice. But you know what? It didn't dampen the mood.
No,
People,
it's like typical Florida, on and off.
Yeah, and people stayed, still had fun.
I think the most water we ever had was when they punctured the irrigation line setting up a
That
pit.
was, probably the most stressful moment for Werks Reunion Amelia ever was, even though we asked for the pipes to be marked, there was one particular pipe that wasn't marked correctly, and of course the tent people hit it, and within minutes we had a lake.
We had a little lake forming, which was sheer panic. And I remember they had to go, not wake somebody up, but they had to go ask somebody where the blueprints were for this irrigation system, because it had been in there so long that no one had plans for the irrigation pipes. But they managed to shut it off, and
we were ready to go the next day.
What amazed me was it drained within 30 minutes, and it looked like nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
that was that's I guess the advantage of doing it in Florida.
Now, opposite of being able to say something was taken care of quickly, if you've been to Amelia Island recently, you'll know there's lots of construction going on. So for last week when we did the site visit, it was the beginning of all of this. And those of you that are familiar with getting into Amelia River, there's, I guess, a north-south way to get into the property. Well, one of those streets, which is on the airport side, that is completely closed. So there's only one way in to Amelia River. If you're using GPS, they are going to route you the right directions. If you're familiar and you kind of go your old normal way, it might kind of trip you up a little bit. In the morning, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem because it's so early and we are the only ones there, that you're going to be able to go down a Fletcher Avenue, which is the more commercial road, or you're going to go down Canopy Road, which is a residential area. So I don't know if that residential area road will be open by the time we get there in March, but if it is, and if you do get routed through that residential area, please be very mindful. The residents are still sleeping at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and if we have 600 Porsches coming through, it's going to wake them up. I get it, but keep it to a minimum.
and I always say, at least it's not as bad as Monterey when it comes to traffic.
Yeah,
but the upside to traffic in Monterey is there's such cool cars in traffic that
you don't mind.
You don't mind, exactly. Yeah. You can. I still remember the first time we went there and we saw the two F40s back to back, and it was like, wow, what a traffic jam to be in next to two F40s. So, unfortunately, any big weekend, any big event like this is going to bring traffic, and it's held in a place that isn't meant to carry this much traffic. It's not a stadium where they can quickly evacuate a whole bunch of people out of there. So patience. And the good thing about Werks is people leave little by little. It's not like a concert ending and everyone leaving at once. So after the last awards are given out, then you start to see the slow migration out. So having this event afterwards may be beneficial too, because people will stay and have something to do instead of rushing out to find a place to go eat or hang out.
Yeah. And also, if you haven't heard, new for this year at Amelia, the Concours is actually on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a big change. Basically, they took what happened on Saturday, moved it to Sunday, and vice versa. So if you've always wanted to go to the Concours, but Sunday is travel day home for you, you got no excuse. This Concours is now on Saturday for people who want to stay, brought a car and want to stay for
Cars and Coffee?
Cars and Community,
Cars,
I think it's called. You just have to wait till Sunday.
Yep. All right, folks, if you, I want to remind you to head over to PCA.org to sign up for PCA's newsletters, performance news, e-brake news, and Mark Fresh, all free. And in the news, I hear there's someone new at the helm at design.
So Porsche has only had 4 heads of design, which is pretty incredible considering the whole history. The first one being Butzi Porsche, who did the 911. So Michael Maurer, he is retiring, and Tobias Schulman, I don't know if I pronounced that or not correctly, he is going to be taking over February 1st, and he is will be the former chief design officer for McLaren.
Wow.
So yeah, that's very interesting news, mainly because once again Porsche doesn't change designers very often. So
yeah, so Mr. Lapine was one.
I think he was then Harm Lagai.
Harm Lagai, yeah.
So it was I think Butzi, was it Tony Lapine, then Harm Lagai, then Michael Maurer. So yeah, wow. This guy's going to be, he's 46 years old.
Oh man!
So he could be there for quite a long while. Yeah, hopefully. I think Porsche and the family is very strict on keeping that family language in the design. So I don't think you're going to see radical changes in the design. And if you look at all Porsches, they're easy to spot as Porsches.
It's an evolution, right?
That's what a Porsche always says.
Yep. All right. If you were at Daytona, or if you were following Daytona, and this is sort of the cutesy side, I even made a little version for myself. They were celebrating 20 years of Pixar, the Cars, and Sally Carrera.
Yes, and so I brought this up because the head of what's his title at Pixar?
Oh, Jay Ward.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something of creative design, I believe. Anyways, he was very much involved with Sally and approaching Porsche. In fact, we have a Tech Tactics Live where he explained the whole story of how he approached Porsche and how he had to convince Porsche that the car would be a female, even though everyone looked at the 911 as a male figure, not a female. But it worked, and what kid doesn't have a Sally Carrera or doesn't realize what a Sally Carrera? But the cool thing was they actually built a functioning Sally Carrera based on a 996. They had to change the proportions. You look at the windshield, the 996 windshields aren't this big, but they
it's drivable.
It's drivable.
Wheelbase is definitely shortened.
And did he say that the eyes could have moved at one point? They were working on making the eyes possibly move, but there was just too many logistic involved in making it happen because it just much more involved than they originally thought it would be. But it's a pretty cool story about how Porsche and Pixar got together.
And I think it did so much for PCA as well, and juniors, and having Sally Carrera. So cool. So cool.
Yeah, it's a very
and so many people
car.
are saying there needs to be another one with maybe a new generation Porsche or something like that.
That would be very cool. I know it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Now we found out that the reason there isn't too many Sally Carrera toys is because Pixar has to pay a royalty to Porsche every time they use the Sally Carrera.
Of course. All right, so here's where we'll give you, there is a spoiler alert.
Not really.
By the time you watch this, hopefully we're not the ones spoiling it for you, but the results at the Rolex.
Yeah, so with the way this is recorded, you should have already known that Porsche won the 24 Hours of Daytona, and it was a three-peat, especially for Felipe Nasser and Penske Porsche team. They've won 3 times in a row. Yeah, I guess I don't know if there's anyone talking about a four-peat yet, but as typical fashion, the IMSA and really NASCAR, who owns IMSA, has done an incredible job of making these classes very competitive and the racing very competitive. To be that close after 24 hours is pretty incredible, where you're still at the edge of your seat, biting your fingernails, hoping that nothing happens as he's dicing his way through traffic in the last couple of laps with I think it was the Acura, right behind. Was it Acura or Cadillac? Might have been Cadillac. I can't remember. Was right behind him. But yeah, kudos to Team Penske. They're on their way to the Sebring 12 Hours in March to try. So this was the 21st overall win for Porsche at Daytona. They're going to go for their 20th overall win at Sebring.
Mm-hmm.
So
one of the questions, I was there for not the whole time, but for a few hours for meetings and such. We did have the traditional PCA corral, well attended. And in fact, congratulations to IMSA for, I think they set a record for attendance.
That's what they said, yep.
Yeah. So, and you could definitely feel it. It was packed, and so was our corral. But a question did come up because people haven't seen very much in terms of the Porscheplatz at Sebring, and will there be one? So Sebring did sell parking passes for those that want Porsche parking, but as far as the Porscheplatz program, there will not be one. There will not be a tent. There will not be amenities for that. And unfortunately, no surprise for those of you that listen to us, times there's some belt tightening there, and it was not PCA's decision. Of course, we would have assisted if Porsche was still thinking about having a Porscheplatz there, but unfortunately they've cut it out for the rest of the year. We're trying to secure some sponsorship to see if PCA can restore a few of those corrals at some of the races, and that's part of the meetings that I was in down there. And again, it's not that Porsche doesn't want to do it, but as we've talked about, the times that are coming ahead, there are some programs that have to be curtailed for them to prepare for what's coming. And unfortunately,
going from nearly 20% profit margin to 1 or 2%. Yeah,
I don't
personally. I would scrap the whole tennis and golf involvement and go back to their roots in racing. But that's just me.
I'm not saying how they're doing it, but I can tell you that this is part of it, right? And no surprise.
Honestly, I'm just happy that Porsche is still racing, albeit just in IMSA, the 963, and going for overall victories. Because I remember for the longest time there was a drought. And the best you could hope for was a GT victory. And as you watched all these other makes win overall, knowing that your favorite mark would be up there if they were racing. So the fact that they're still going for the overall title, I'm very happy about that.
What also was really cool to see is our dear friends running the number 36 car, Mike Levitas and Randy Popes running their cup car.
Was that 20-year anniversary?
I guess it was like the classic race that they did with HSR, I believe it was.
Used to be the 24 minutes. I don't know if still 24 minutes.
But they were like kids in a candy store to be able to pull out, and it was so interesting to see how rudimentary those cars were compared to today's race cars. But the spirit, 100% all there, and to see all the Viper, the various cup cars, the Mazdas of the time, and they were all running it. All still sounded phenomenal.
If I recall, a year or 2 years prior to that, they were also leading with an hour, maybe 2 hours left in the race, and they had an accident with another car, and it took them out of the race. And the heartbreak of, just think about it, going all day on Saturday, going through the night, surviving the night, and then the last 90 minutes to 120 minutes, your car gets taken out. It takes a lot to win the 24 hours. That's why it's so special. So, I saw pictures of Mike down there, and it's very well deserved that, he's a true privateer.
Yep.
It's not cheap to race.
No.
When you figure how many sets of tires you have to go through and all the logistics, and for a privateer to come on top, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you're considering going to, and you've never been to the Rolex 24, it's cool. It's really cool. The whole experience, everything's accessible. I will. So we have a new corral Porscheplatz chair. Lynn retired from that position. Catherine Menja from Canada. She also resides in Florida as well, has taken over that role. Karen Rinaldi, the Zone 12 rep, was there picking up the volunteer roles there. I will say, just when you're picking where you stay in Daytona, read the reviews carefully. Pricing may not reflect quality of room because it might be a 300, 350.
Was it worse than the room we stayed at across the street at one time?
Unfortunately, they reserved that very same hotel, and it's called a Wyndham. It's called a Wyndham, so you think, how bad could a Wyndham be? It was below a Motel 8. I mean, it's they were literally in the same
I'm
building.
talking about the place where
where the cats.
We didn't take our socks off.
Right. We didn't change because we slept in our clothes. It was so gross. Yeah, it's still there, and unfortunately, I didn't know they were staying there.
It's a place they asked me for a survey.
Yes,
on how I
you about
enjoyed my
lost.
stay.
Yeah, you about lost it when we checked out. Said, "Sir, how was your stay?" So a bit of insider tip: research where you're staying very carefully. Price does not reflect condition. I found actually a pretty reasonable one. I say that Seashell Cottage down on the A1A, a little bit further out. Kind of a sketchy neighborhood, but the room was relatively clean, and still that was like $175 a night. And I
remember years ago
comfortable, but
a bunch of us in the region went down there, all guys, and we had no back then. You didn't need reservations for hotels, and we flew down, got in the minivan, and we went along A1A, and we see a sign that said like $29 rooms.
Oh,
we're like, let's go check it out.
Those days are over.
And the guy says, they're $29, but you have to look at the room.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I said, are you asking us or telling us? He goes, I'm telling you. He says, because I've had too many people look at the rooms after they registered and then want their money back.
Oh, look at them before you pay.
And I'm like, why? Is there something we should be worried about? He goes, we're demolishing this in 3 weeks. So we haven't made any repairs, but if it's fine. Everything's
livable.
Fine. So we went in and we said, obviously they haven't made any repairs, but it's two guys to a room. We could make it happen.
Yeah.
So we paid our $29. We're like, this is great. $15 a person for 3 days, $45. What could go wrong?
That same room is still
that same night. I remember I started to brush my teeth, and I could feel my toes getting wet. And I looked down, and the little YouTube
way
was gone.
Oh no. So it was just draining to the floor.
I told my roommate, I'm like, I think we're going to be brushing our teeth in the shower because we can't use the sink. So, it was. The guy said, he goes, any of these guys that show up with their wives or girlfriends, the wives and girlfriends are walking right out as soon as they see the room.
Yeah. So, Catherine and Karen, thank you for suffering through that hotel. All right, let's talk about Tech Tactics East, where you can find much nicer hotels at reasonable prices. February 21st, that is sold out. 22nd, we still have a few seats available. That's in Easton, Pennsylvania, February 21st and 22nd. Werks Reunion, Amelia Island, which we've talked about earlier. March 6th, Judge area sold out. Corral is still open. Porsche Parade, as of the day of recording, here we had Porsche Parade Phase 1 open, and registration is hot. There's going to be a lot of people there. June 14th through 20th. If you're anywhere near the Northeast, definitely plan on coming. We've got a great event scheduled for you. For those of you in the West, or for those of you that want to try out Treffin at Sea, the cruise that will be going out of Vancouver, that's September 19th, out of Vancouver down to San Francisco, then down to Santa Barbara, then down to LA. It's a wine cruise. We also have a host of wonderful speakers that will be presenting while we're on Days at Sea. We'll have wine partners come in. And it's going to be a wonderful cruise, and I hope you join us for that. PCA videos, anything you want to plug, Damon?
Basically we do have, I'm pretty sure with the timing of how we're filming this is that what came out last was either a Tech Tactics show from Parade, which would be, I believe, Tony Callis' $800
oil change
or inspection, one of the two.
Oil change,
which is not just an oil change, just FYI, a lot of other stuff. And then I also drove a 99 Carrera, which was Porsche Owings Mills. 2025, Restoration Challenge car. So it was part of the individualization class. So it has some mods. It's the kind of mods that I love. So basically suspension, brakes rebuilt, lightweight flywheel, and a nicer interior with bucket seats, and a few other things.
Gorgeous
wide
car.
body, Gambala wheels, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's available for sale, isn't it?
It is as we are recording this, and
Yeah.
when I recorded the video, I didn't mention that it was for sale in the video in case that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can assume any Restoration Challenge car by a Porsche dealership will
Be for sale. Yeah.
when it's done with the challenge.
Okay. All right. For those of you that got excited about watching the 24 hours and want to race, but maybe not have your own race car, check out PCASimRacing.com. You can do it online with fellow PCA members. If you're looking for insider swag, head over to our web store, PCAwebstore.org. We have bottles, mugs, and t-shirts. And if you're looking for some decals, we'd be happy to send some complimentary PCA Insider decals. All we need is your address information and send it to podcast@pca.org.
Your mailing address, not your email address.
Yes, your mailing address.
These are real stickers, not virtual.
Correct. All right. Anything else before we wrap this one up?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Consider sharing our show with fellow Porsche enthusiasts. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.